session is being recorded. So my question is, do you have any specific issues you want to address?
I'm just having a lot of troubles with the quizzes because to me, the answers for some of the questions, I feel like there are multiple answers, and looking through the text, there are more than one answer, so I'm not really sure which one to pick. So I think
The people who are answering want to kill
so that's why I'm getting this wrong.
Jessica Jessica Blanding. Please, or whoever, please mute yourself so that we don't get the background noise from private communications. Okay, I'm going to pull up the the class. I want to see what you mean. So give me a minute. Let's pull up one of the quizzes. Okay, so which can we just pull up any quiz, or is there any particular quiz? You saying the problem is the same everywhere.
So right now in front of me, I have Module 6, Chapter 3.
Okay, all right.
That's one of the
So
ones.
let me pull that one up and see what happens. I will share screen. All right, here is the quiz. Right? And here is one of the questions, neuromercantilist. Okay. uh, um, in what way do you see these answers, neo-mercantilists, okay? They say they give priority to politics over economics, give priority to economics over politics, view IPE as a variable sum game, view the state as existing only on fairly equal footing with several important actors in IPE. So which of the answers are the same to you? Or which of the, okay. What would be your problem with this particular question?
Well, for this question, it was fairly straightforward. I got the priority to politics, but something like question number 2, because the textbooks also mention rational individuals as utility maximizers. It also mentions that they obtain information before making decisions. So something like that is kind of confusing to me which answers to pick. Like
No,
question
no,
number
no.
2 and question.
Is it question number 2 or option number 2?
Oh no, question number 2. Question number 2.
Okay. Okay, so let's go to question number 2. All rational choice theorists operate within the liberal or realist perspective. See rational individuals as utility maximizers. See rational individuals as obtaining an optimal amount of information before making decisions. Rely on mathematical models. Okay, which of the answers seems to be the same to you?
It would be the option 2 and option 3, because those are those are both mentioned in the book.
Okay.
So
Now, so you exclude option number 1 because rational choice theorists are not realists. Okay,
okay.
they're not realists. Because realism essentially postulates that, or they belong to the mercantilists. They essentially postulate that any kind of interaction between groups or even individuals in a competitive situation, uh, you know, one person is trying to outmaneuver the other, and you have a zero-sum game. And so, a realist, for example, let me just use some ordinary example to say what a realist is. A realist would argue that you shouldn't go into deep water if you are not a swimmer. And if you go into deep water and you're not a swimmer and you're sinking, a realist will say you shouldn't have gone there. Don't go and help him because you shouldn't go there. You get the idea, okay?
Okay.
Okay. So rational individuals they see rational individuals as utility maximizers, okay? Now, but the thing about it, when you say that the 2 and 3 are the same, rational individuals as obtaining an optimal amount of information before making decisions, not necessarily so. Do they rely on mathematical models? Not necessarily, because the whole idea about rational individuals is that they try to maximize utility. You do something because you calculate the benefits to you. Okay. And you don't have to have optimal information. What's optimal information? Okay, in the sense that optimal information is like you calculate the cost of getting an additional information and say, what is the cost of getting this additional information before you make a decision? Okay. That is rational behavior. Okay. But because you calculate the cost and the benefits and see what is the marginal cost of getting this additional information, what would be the marginal benefit if you go and get that additional information compared to the marginal utility of what you're trying to decide about. Okay.
Okay.
And so I would have chosen number 2.
So, um, is utility maximizers not the same thing as weighing the cost and the benefits of a transaction? Is that not the same definition?
You weigh the cost, utility maximizer is, of course, in a way, yes, because utility maximizer is that you have two choices. Okay, let's say apple and oranges. All right. And so what is the cost of the apple if you say 10 apples and 4 oranges will make you happy? All right.
Okay.
Okay. And the apple costs $1 and orange costs $2. So now you want to reduce your apples. Instead of 10 apples and 4 oranges, you say, okay, I'm going to take 9 apples and 6 oranges. So what would be the marginal utility compared to the cost in terms of your budget? All right. Okay. So because utility maximization also is based on a budget, where the cost and benefits. But now, when I see you're picking on, and you're correct in picking on, obtaining optimal amount of information. Now, that depends on whether you are able to estimate the cost of the information. And the question is, does the rational individual insist on that? And I doubt it, because you may not be able to estimate the cost of information, or you may. And so the two answers are not exactly the same.
Okay, so from what I understand, you said the
You see the answer there? Answer is B.
answer. Okay, so it's utility maximizers.
The
Okay,
utility maximizer.
okay, all right. So if I can,
The questions, the questions and answers are very subtle. And that is what you need to be very careful about.
yeah, I think that subtlety is the biggest problem I have with it, because sometimes like before, they kind of sound very similar to me, so it's hard for me to discern which is a real answer.
I understand that. I mean, that's why you're still a student.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I mean, so you need to really, like you said, the two are mentioned in the book. And when you see something where the two are mentioned in the book, go back and reread
Okay.
and look for that subtle difference. That's what I'm saying. Go back and reread those two. Remember that when you look at them, the two are the same and they are mentioned in the book. So go and now look at those two again and see the subtle difference between them.
Okay.
Right?
Okay. I guess the same thing for question number 5 about the hegemonic stability theory.
Okay.
Again, like two of those, yeah, actually rather three of these answers were part
They
of
look,
the stability theory.
they look alike.
They look very much alike.
I mean, for example, economic openness and stability cannot be maintained in the absence of a global hegemon.
Hmm.
Not necessarily. You know, um,
Well,
not necessarily.
yes, because I know for the second answer, because the book says that it may not impossible, but it may not be maintained. So the answer saying that it cannot is not it. But I think the
Precisely. And you see the subtlety there. It cannot.
right, right,
It's not impossible for it to be maintained. Of course, you can in the absence of a global hegemon, okay?
yes,
Because coalitions can take place, okay?
right, right. So it's just the last two answers then would be what is what is
Economic openness and stability are more likely, and the subtlety, they're more likely when most other major states view the dominant state's policy as beneficial. And so they comply.
Mhm.
Okay, major states is also a subtle point there. If I had said when every state, then it would be wrong. But major state, major states. And there are major states. If you look at the world today, there are major states. China,
Okay.
Russia, the EU, the USA, right?
Right.
These are major states. And
Okay.
if they see, say, United States, if the United States is dominant and they see it's beneficial to them, of course, they would, you know, keep silent
Mm-hmm.
and simply enjoy the stability. It's when people begin to feel threatened by the hegemon's um, policies, then the, instability might set in, right? Because the hegemon might actually impose their policies on everybody. Now, remember that for most of this century, for most of the last century, and then coming into this 21st century, the dollar was king, and the U.S. used the dollar as a leverage. But now, um, when Russia invaded Ukraine
Mm-hmm.
and took Russia out of the international monetary clearing system, now they began to look for alternatives like the Chinese yuan, as the main currency, and then they developed a whole new international monetary clearing system, so
Okay.
that the United States does not dominate. When it comes to monetary policy, the dollar has been king, and the dollar is still like an international currency. You go to many parts of the country, you can price things in the local currency, or you can price things in the dollar openly.
Okay.
You know the idea. But now the United States, began to use the dollar as a leverage and the clearing system as a leverage against other people. And people are, say, okay, we're going to develop a different system.
So for that answer, when you said when states start to feel threatened because of the hegemon's policies, who exactly would be feeling threatened? Would it be the dominated state, the one that the hegemony is influencing, or would it
The,
be
the major states,
the other major states
yes,
would be?
they will now be the ones to begin to, uh, develop alternative systems because they too have leverage. But if I'll give you an example again. The United Nations, the headquarters is in the United States, and the United States is not allowed. The United States must grant visa to uh, citizens from other countries, the representatives of other countries to come into United States for business that is related to the United Nations. Okay?
Okay.
The worst that they can do is they say, when you come in, you cannot go beyond New York City. We don't want to see you in Washington, D.C. We don't want to see you in California.
Okay.
They can say that. But if they use the fact that the headquarters is in the United States to say, we will not give visa to a representative of Hamas or a representative of Iran or Iraq, then the major states like Russia, China, who are those people that would align with Iraq and Iran, will say, hey, wait a minute, we have to take these headquarters away from you.
Okay. Okay. So it's the allies of the states that would be imposed.
Of the smaller states.
Right.
But let us say that it's not their allies. Just call them the major states, because the Soviet Union and China may not necessarily be allies of Iraq and Iran.
Okay. They have trade relations though. That's basically it.
Yeah, they have trade relations, but also USA has trade relations with Iraq. They have trade
Mhm.
relations with Iran because they import Iranian oil.
Right. Okay.
The trade relations are there. That's not the issue. The issue is that the major states who will now feel that America is abusing that leverage will now say, no, you cannot.
Okay, I see. I see now. Okay. If we can go to question number 7.
Okay. That is the hegemon stability theory itself.
Yes.
Okay. The realist theory. I become of less interest. I doubt it. Okay. Has become more interest to United States scholars over the years, has helped to clarify the relationship between international and domestic politics. Not necessarily, that's not true. Okay. It's become less interest to most our scholars. Well, I mean, that's a historical thing, and probably the answer is in the book,
Okay. Okay, so the international relations scholars, it would be for the US scholars that
International relations scholars, maybe across the board, across the world.
okay. Okay then. I didn't have many questions other than this. It was mainly
Okay.
the answers to the quizzes that were getting me
Yeah.
confused.
Well, like I said, you have to read them, and try to see the subtle differences between the answers.
Okay. So are the grades for the quizzes getting counted at the end of the class? Is that how that's
Yes. Yes.
okay? So I still have time to retake them and
Yeah,
improve my
improve your grade, yeah.
okay then.
They'll be open to the end.
Okay then. I think that's all the questions I had really for this meeting.
In the next office hour, I will discuss, how you should address questions in the final exam, because we're going to be in the 4th week. So I'm going to discuss that. I'm also going to make a decision whether I would still require the term project. You see, this transition from Blackboard to Brightspace is really creating a lot of problems for students. So I might just, for this summer, for this semester, decide. I've not decided yet, but I might just decide, you know what, let's just leave that. Let's look at the final exam alone. Because the final exam, again, is it's going to be a written exam, but it's one of those situations where, subtleties will matter, and your detailed reading, your detailed attention to the readings. I'm going to ask you questions specific to certain readings in this class. And if you haven't read those things, then you're going to have problems.
Okay, so I'm just gonna have to start reading more carefully then.
Yeah.
Okay then. Thank you very much, Professor. Thank you for your help.
Right then. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay, so does anybody else have any specific questions?
Well, not entirely specific, Professor, but I see like we have a couple more quizzes posted. I was going to ask, because some of the modules do have like do the study quiz and the assignment, but the quizzes were not available. But I now see that they are on the quizzes tab.
Yes, I just opened all of them, and I'm going to just leave them open. You can go and answer them whenever you can. But be careful. You must read the chapter before you can answer those questions.
Yeah,
So
it's
not
tricky.
that, yes, you must read the chapter before you can answer those questions. So don't just go in and answer them blindly. If you do not read the chapters, you will not be able to answer the questions.
Okay, that's
But
good to know.
I'm gonna leave them open with no deadline until the end of the semester, which is to say, until August 14, August 15, and then they're gonna be closed.
Okay, that's good to know. Thank you so much.
All right. All right. Have a nice evening.
You as well. Thank you. Good night.